Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And it's been a big day on the striker front for Manchester United. A lot of news coming out in the past maybe 24 hours or so about possible targets for Manchester United. Everybody knows we're looking for a second striker this summer, and it's off of the back of Benjamin Sesko pretty much declaring his future at RB Leipzig. So we'll talk about the options there. United are being linked with number of different players from different leagues, so we'll discuss what players we're being linked with and we'll get your opinions on them as well. I do also want to talk about the midfield area. United being linked with Monaco's midfielder Youssouf Fofana, and that's coming out directly from France as well, so we'll speak a little bit about that. We want to talk as well about Jarrad Brantwaite. Manchester United seem to be steadfast in their valuation of him and will not overpay, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and what it might mean, the kind of knock-on effects in relation to the actual centre-back that we will end up signing in the summer, because we will end up signing one. I think it's quite clear. I think we're desperate for one. And also, according to Jamie Jackson, he's been saying that Ineos, Jim Radcliffe, the board are pretty relaxed about what's going on at Manchester United at the moment. Work is being done in the background on the transfer window, so we'll talk a little bit about that and what it means as well. As always, guys, please do smash a like on the video. It helps the channel out a massive amount. We're less than 70 away as well from 10,000 subscribers, so if you are new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Helps us out like you don't realise. And as always, get your comments into the comment section below as well. As always, we've got the merchandise stand here. Like I said, if you missed the last few days, we've got some new designs up there, really good, some cool Roy Keane ones. Use the code UCC at checkout to get 10% off. Link is in the description of the video. Go check it out as well. But guys, we're going to start with the we only mentioned it last night, didn't we, on the live, that Manchester United are going to be looking for a second striker this summer, and we've seen very little reports about who we could potentially be going with and so on and so forth. I think about 10 minutes after the live ended, Fabrizio Romano tweeted, and he tweeted that Benjamin Sesko will sign a new deal at RB Leipzig until June 2029 on Wednesday, in the next 24 hours. There will be a gentleman's agreement for Sesko's exit in 2025 or 2026. Meanwhile, he's staying as a star of the project. Exclusive story confirmed. Now, we know Manchester United have been linked with this guy for a couple of years now, and in the last maybe week or two, it looks like Arsenal and even Chelsea have kind of jumped ahead of Manchester United in the race for Benjamin Sesko. There was a lot of reports suggesting that they would be the ones to go and actually get a deal made for them. Sorry, if I keep looking this way, I've got two baby monitors I have to keep an eye on, and I've got the volume turned down. So yeah, if I keep looking that way, that's what it is. But Benjamin Sesko, it looked like he was going to be coming to the Premier League at a bare minimum. So I suppose Manchester United kind of fell away in terms of the race for him, and it looked like it was going to be maybe Arsenal or maybe Chelsea. And now he's said he is signing a new deal at RB Leipzig. Now, this is basically going to mean there'll probably be a release clause in his contract. Like we can see here from Fabrizio, there'll be a gentleman's agreement that he'll be able to leave either next summer or the summer after. I would say that's going to be a release clause in there as well. It's probably good news for United in terms of not letting our competitors get any stronger. Chelsea, Arsenal, for example, because I think Arsenal specifically are looking for an out-and-out number 9, and I think Sesko would have fitted into their team really, really well. So it's yeah, I mean, I won't say it's disappointing news from a Manchester United standpoint. I didn't think we were going to get him anyway. However, what it means is, and Rob Dawson from ESPN is saying, adding a striker to the current squad is a priority for Manchester United, regardless of who the manager is next season. And look, I mean, my 8-month-old son could have told you that. You know, you don't need a fucking journal to be a journalist to have a degree to be able to figure that one out. So Manchester United are going to get a second striker in the summer. We better get a second striker in the summer. Now, over the last few hours or so, some reports again coming out Rob Dawson is the main one, saying Manchester United have drawn up a list of strikers ahead of the summer transfer window, which include Ivan Toney, Jonathan David, and Joshua Zirkzee. All good strikers in their own right. But I suppose different types of strikers, you would say. And I think Ivan Toney is kind of the standout one from the other two. Not just with age, but with profile. I think probably Jonathan David falls into that category as well. Where, we've been speaking over the last couple of weeks, couple of months about getting a second striker in and what type of second striker we're going to need. Are you going to need an experienced striker, for example, the Harry Kanes of the world, Ivan Toney's, so on and so forth? Or are you going to be going out and looking at a younger striker that can share the burden with Rasmus Højlund? A Zirkzee would fall into that category. A Benjamin Sesko would have fallen into that category. These are the questions we've been asking over the last couple of weeks and couple of months. And it's still a decision that, Eric Ten Hag, Jim Radcliffe, Ineos, Dave Brailsford, whoever it is that's deciding on who we sign, they have to make this decision. Me personally, and I've said this for a number of weeks and months now, I think the second option is probably the best one, is getting a younger striker in, similar of age to Rasmus Højlund, you would say, early 20s, anywhere between 21 and 25. For example, and sharing the workload with him, where both players are not expecting to start every single game of the season. I think if you go for the likes of an Ivan Toney, for example, who is 28 years of age, I think, he's going to want to play every game. He's going to want to play every game. He's going to want to be the main man because there is interest from other teams, not just Manchester United. So he's going to have some options there as well. Are Arsenal going to go back in for him? And I think there will be... Sorry, I'm watching the Ireland game on the TV here as well. I think there will be competition for Ivan Toney. I think he will move on from Brentford this summer. Now, this time last year, we were talking about Ivan Toney as being potentially a £100 million player. Subsequently, Portugal have just scored again. Subsequently, Ivan Toney had the betting scandal with him, and he, missed an awful lot of the season, and that certainly is after decreasing his value. Again, Rob Dawson is saying here, Ivan Toney and Jonathan David are of particular interest to Man United as striker options because they're about to enter the final year of their respective contracts. Now, regardless of that, we're talking about Ivan Toney. He does say that Brentford will demand more than £50 million for Manchester United target. Now, look, I don't think you get a decent striker now for less than 50 million. So I think if we are going to go get a second striker, it's going to be minimum 50 million. It just is. We've seen what happened with Rasmus Højlund last summer. Some people have said we overpaid for him. I don't think we have long term. I mean, first season at United, he scored 16 goals. I mean, that's a good return. That's a really, really good return for a guy of his age who has been leading the lines, didn't get much of a rest. And I think it's been a very successful first season. And you see what we paid for him, being a young player. Now, you go out for an Ivan Toney or a Jonathan David or a Zirkzee, whoever it may be, you're going to be talking 50 million. Goals are the most important thing when it comes to football. Go on, Ireland! Oh, you fucking hit the side net. Goals are what's most important. Goals are what's most important, and you pay for goals. It's as simple as that. Now, let's have a look at some of the stats here because, look, if we're looking at Ivan Toney, for example, obviously we know he's the older of the three. He's 28 years of age. His contract expires... sugar. Let me go back to the top. His contract expires... You fucking Nedja. Contract expires June 2025. So like we said, he's got a year left on his deal. That will give Manchester United some negotiating room when it comes to, Brentford and so on and so forth. Last season, he played 17 games, scored 4 goals with 2 assists. yeah, I mean, his XG was 6, so he actually underperformed according to his XG. So, yeah, look, didn't have the greatest of seasons. We know he was only coming back after a long, long layoff. And when we look at, I mean, his stats here are going to be a little bit out of sync given the fact that he didn't play an awful lot last season. You know what I mean? So it can be quite understandable. When we're looking next at Joshua Zirkzee, for example, we're talking about a 23-year-old. And again, look, he's got 2 years left on his deal. He's not on an awful lot. He's on 22,000 a week. All right? All right, okay. And his stats do look a little bit better. Now, look, obviously, last season, he's played 34 games, scored 11 goals and 4 assists in Serie A. So we know that the Premier League is a step up to Serie A. However, we also said that about Rasmus Højlund. I think he scored, was it 6 or 8 goals the year before he joined us in all competitions, and he comes and scores 16 this season. So I think it's, I wouldn't be knocking that against him entirely. Absolutely not. And, his percentiles are good. Passes attempted 84%, passes completed 82%, take-ons 89. When it comes to the goal aspect of it, it's not that great. It's not that great. You're talking about non-penalty goals. He's in the 35 percentile range. And when we're talking about Jonathan David, he probably has the best stats out of everybody here. 24 years of age. Again, 1 year left on his contract. He's on 32,000 at the moment. And obviously Lille, you're not going to be getting huge money with them. Played 34 games in Ligue 1 and scored 19 goals with 4 assists. Outperformed his XG on both occasions. And yeah, I mean, if we look at his stats, we're talking about a lot better here. 83 percentile for non-penalty goals, expected non-penalty goals, 83 percentile as well. So yeah, all of that kind of stuff looks good. Good pass completion rate. He's good in the tackle. He's good at interceptions as well for a striker. So progressive passes, all good. So look, there are options there for Manchester United. And I think that, like I said, the big decision over the next few weeks for Manchester United is what type of striker you go for. Do you go for your Zirkzee, who is, 22 years of age, 23 years of age? Or do you go for your more experienced striker like Ivan Toney at 28? Again, we know the 5 rules that Ineos have in relation to the transfer window, and signing players over the age of 25 is against the rules. So does Ivan Toney get automatically chalked off because of that? I don't think we'll sign Ivan Toney. I don't think after what happened to him last season with the whole betting situation, he's got this kind of, I don't know if his attitude is that good, and he's probably going to cost too much as well. So I'd be surprised if we ended up with Ivan Toney this summer. I really would. Let's see what you're saying here. Neverworld says Tony's attitude is absolute bollocks. Finn says 3-0 Portugal, 2 for Ronnie. Yeah, I'm watching it here. Look, I mean, Ireland are putting up a decent enough challenge, but yeah, look, I mean, Portugal are one of the best teams in the world. Tony isn't the type of character we need. There we go. A lot of people saying that. Neverworld says could bring in Mateus Nascimento or Leonardo to back Højlund up, and not even near 50 million. There we go. Yeah, so look, I mean, the options are there are options there for United. It is vital we get a striker this summer. Absolutely vital, because Rasmus Højlund can't lead the line again. He can't lead the line again on his own. Now, let me know what you guys think. Would you go with that experienced striker of a 26, 27, 28-year-old, your Ivan Toney's, for example? Or do you go out and go for your Zirkzees or your, links with Jonathan David, for example? I think he falls in between both. It's a decision that Ineos need to make. like I said before, I would like to see a younger striker come in that can share the workload with Rasmus Højlund. Both of them don't need to start then and don't expect to start every game. And you don't have that prolific, big name striker coming in that needs and wants to start every single game. And I think that would help the development of Rasmus Højlund and whoever else we bring in that's going to be the second striker. That would be my opinion on it. Let me just have a little look here. 14. Yeah. With this rule Jim's put in, what if a player's 25 years and 364 days old, but the contract signing falls 3 minutes after he turns 26? Yeah, look, I mean, I know what you mean. I think it's a loose guideline, I think, more than anything else. And you know, if a player, I don't know, let's say Harry Kane was 27 years of age and he became available, you know, you're going to be interested in him. You just are. You're going to potentially go and try and sign him, depending on obviously what you've got and your team. But we're in no position to be picky at the moment as Manchester United fans and as a club in general. You know, if a player becomes available and he's over the age of 25 and he fits in to the manager's plans and he's 26 or 27 years of age and he's a really good player at a good price, then, you know, I think you loosen them rules a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think they're more of a guideline than a rule. You know, if I was being pushed on it. Anyway, guys, I want to move on and talk a little bit about the midfield. I'm only going to do another maybe 15 minutes or so. I've got to run, so it's going to be a shorter one tonight. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about midfield, and obviously it's an area that United do need to improve this summer. You know, it looks like Casemiro is probably going to move on. We're probably going to move on Christian Eriksen as well. He didn't seem happy with his game time at the end of last season. You know, there's been constant talks about Scott McTominay potentially leaving and being a player that you could potentially get some decent money for. So the midfield is going to be an area we need to improve on. Now, obviously, we've had a bid rejected for João Neves already. And reports are coming out of France today suggesting that Manchester United are strongly positioned to secure the signing of Monaco midfielder Youssouf Fofana. Now, again, look, Youssouf Fofana, I'm not going to say I know an awful lot, but from what I do know of him, you know, a good player, a good, solid, strong defensive midfielder. He's 25 years of age. Sorry, I'm just getting up his stats here as well. We might as well do it as well. 25 years of age. He's on $5,000 a week at Monaco. I would be shocked if that's the case. And let's see, League One last season, 32 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists as a DM. And if we're looking at, I mean, I like to see that. I like to see green all the way down the long. You know, if we're talking about, this is the attacking side of his game. You know, non-penalty goals, he's in the 79 percentile, 91 percentile for non-penalty XGs. Takes a lot of shots. Passes attempted, 73%. Progressive passes, which is absolutely vital to the way Erik ten Hag specifically wants to play, is in the 95 percentile. So he certainly will fit the bill when it comes to that. 89 percentile for successful take-ons. Tackles, interceptions, 71%. So yeah, I mean, a good player, and, you know, one that comes into a position that is in dire need of an upgrade at United. Now, we were talking for, you know, remember before Casemiro signed, we were desperate for a DM, you know, a CDM for 5 years, you know, a really good one. I think the last one that was anyway decent was Matic, and he was past his best at the time. So, you know, we've got one good year out of Casemiro and now one bad year after that. It's time we really take a grip of that position and get it set in stone for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Now, I think Fofana could be a type of player that could do that. The ideal scenario would be someone like João Neves, in his early 20s, ready to take over the mantle and be that number 6 for the next decade. That's the ideal scenario. But we've messed around with the number 6 position at Manchester United over the past decade. It's time we really put it to bed now this summer, hopefully. Get a good signing in that can be there and be the long-serving CDM for the next decade. It has to be done. It really does. And like I said, I think Fofana can be that type of player. I really do. Let's see what people are saying. Finn says, just watching Neves here tonight. He's very small and light for my liking. Not sure he's ready at 19 to run the Prem. I don't know. I think I'm looking at him as well, and he is small, but he's stocky. I haven't seen him turn off the ball. You would lack height with him. Of course, you would lack height with him, but I mean, you would make that up in abundance with everything else that he's got. I mean, you're looking at, for example, Erik ten Hag was looking at having the likes of Frankie de Jong playing that 6. So, look, I think João Neves has it all. I really do. I really like what I see from him. And the short bits that I've seen from him, in games live, Queeveen Keller just got away with an absolute munter of a challenge on Ronaldo. Look, like I said, that CDM role is an area that we really need to get right this summer, I think. Especially if Casemiro goes. I've done small, chunky thirds in the past. I'd much rather an averaged shape one. Yeah. Did it score again? No, they didn't. It's offside. Look, I mean, CDM, let's get it sorted. Now, want to talk Jared Brantwaite. Now, we know all of the links and the reports between Manchester United and him over the last couple of weeks and months, and Ronaldo's a mile offside there. He missed it anyway. Alex Crook has said Manchester United are reluctant to meet Everton's asking price for Jared Brantwaite. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is determined not to be forced into paying overly inflated fees as United have in the past. Now, this is a breath of fresh air. This is what we want to hear. It also says Jim Ratcliffe believes, despite loose interest from Real Madrid, that Manchester United are the only serious suitors for Jared Brantwaite at this juncture, and is wary of being drawn into effectively bidding against himself. Now, look, I mean, I think we do know that there was initial interest from Real Madrid for Jared Brantwaite, and maybe that interest is still there. I'm not 100% sure. If it is, okay, all well and good. If it is there, I think if Real Madrid are still interested in Jared Brantwaite, I think we either end up with Brantwaite or we'll end up with Lenny Yoro, one or the other. Because we know Real Madrid's interest in Yoro and Manchester United's interest in Yoro. They're both looking at him, and Real Madrid want him to wait for another year and see out these contracts, all of that kind of stuff, where United are willing to pay to get him this summer, and get a deal done. So, look, I think we end up with one of these two. I think maybe Lenny Yoro or Jared Brantwaite, and you could probably throw Todibo in on top of that as well. I think Todibo is at such a good price that it would be hard to turn away from him. And he's a brilliant defender regardless. But I think we probably end up with Todibo and one of Jared Brantwaite and Lenny Yoro. I think one of the two of them alongside Todibo is what will happen. I think too, I know finances are not, huge this summer for United, but if we could get two centre-backs in and get rid of two, now one of them is already gone, we're talking about Raphael Varane, he's already gone, but if you can get rid of one of the two, of Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof, and bring in Todibo and or Brantwaite and Lenny Yoro, then that's a massive, massive, massive upgrade on your centre-back your centre backs. It really, really is. And then if you can bring in a central defensive midfielder and a striker, you're talking about the spine of Manchester United completely transformed in one transfer window. Really, really, it's not overly complicated. It really isn't. Now, obviously, you got to get figures right and so on and so forth. But I think 2 centre backs is a must this summer. I really do. I don't want to go into another campaign where we're talking about, like, if we're going for Jared Brantwaite, he's a left-footed centre back. Now, are you going for Jared Brantwaite on, his own? Are you not getting any other right-sided centre back? Because then we're going to have Lisandro Martinez and Jared Brantwaite as 2 left-footed centre backs with no right-footed centre backs. So I think Todibo is probably going to happen. I hope it does happen. And then you're talking one of the 2 of Brantwaite and Lenny Yoro. I think that's what will probably happen, to be honest with you. Dan says, I want Elise. You can't always get what you want. Dan, yeah, look, Chelsea seem to be leading the race for him. I don't think right wing is a number 1 priority this summer. Like I said, it's up through the spine of the team, and then any other deals outside of that, then he'll have to probably wait until later in the window, I reckon. Grace says, could we not promote, I can never pronounce that name, or Collier for the number 6. I presume that's in relation to Ireland and not Manchester United. Neverword says, I don't want a single player from Nice, as I can see that coming back to bite us somehow, cycling money from one team to another whilst no money actually changes hands. Look, I mean, yeah, I don't see that happening, because I don't see it being an issue, because, you have to balance the books. And Nice are a business as well, and Jim Ratcliffe knows that. He doesn't want that going under. We have Victor Lindelof, one of the best in the world. I don't know about that. Chris is in, good to see ya. And Finn says, what do you make of Luke Shaw talking crap about having to play injured? Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. I like Luke Shaw as a player. I've said it before. You don't... Jesus Christ. I mean, looking at the bench of Portugal. Sorry. I think Portugal are going to win the Euros. They've got so many good players. Yeah, Luke Shaw, I like him as a player, but if he starts talking bad about the club, get rid of him. Ronaldo is one of the best players that Manchester United have ever had, and I couldn't wait for him to leave the second time around. And I still stick to my guns. I don't think he's a Manchester United legend. I don't think he can be after the way he acted. So, yeah. Grace says, there's youth players from Man United U team. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I do apologise, Grace. Sorry, I'm caught a bit between watching the Ireland game here on the TV. I'm getting a bit confused. I do know who you're talking about there. I mean, you're talking about very young players. You can't expect players to come directly from the under 18s or the under 19s or wherever it is, under 21s, directly into the, as Manchester United's number 1 defensive midfielder. I just, this has been the issue over the last few years. We've been so desperate. The likes of Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, and we've said this before, even though I'm so happy that, they're in the team week in, week out and playing well, they shouldn't have to be like that. These guys should be drip fed into that team over the next year or two, and learn all the time. But we don't have that luxury because we've got no depth in our squad. And I always go back to the Phil Foden one with Guardiola. Last season was the first time that Phil Foden really, was a first team starter. And that's all down to Guardiola. And he's probably player of the year, this season. So there you go. Let's just sign Todibo and Inacio. Yeah, I would be happy with that, my man. Absolutely. Neverwhere says, Luke Shaw barely played a game for us. The Muppet, he's full of... and Finn says, Bruno and Delo should be tapping up half the Portugal squad for next month. I know. I would be all over it. João Neves.
Come here, bye. I'll let you sit beside me in the dressing room. I won't touch your legs.
And just get him. Just come on, in you come. There's Inacio there now, looking at him as well. He's another lad that should be getting tapped up. Very good player. Anyway, guys, short enough show tonight. I will be back again tomorrow night, as always, with any other news. Not an awful lot of updates today, to be quite honest with you. It was quite enough. you always know when it's a quiet enough day when I'm quoting Rob Dawson from ESPN more than one time in a live. So, hopefully we'll have more information tomorrow on any updates. Like I said, guys, please do make sure you're subscribing. Football community channel, all of the Euro watch-alongs that we're doing. We're starting on Friday. It's really, really close now. What have we got? 3 more days. All of the watch-alongs will be live on our football community channel. Make sure you're subscribing over there, like I said. And as always, if you haven't already done so, check out the merchandise store. Really cool designs gone up in the past week or so. A couple of really good Roy Keane ones, an Eric Ten Hag one. We've got Menu, Garnacho, even old ones like Chicharito. Who else have we got? I've got Casemiro, Rashford, all that kind of stuff. So go check it out. Use the code UCC at checkout to get 10% off as well. If you haven't, guys, smash a like in the video. Helps us out an awful lot. Subscribe if you're new. Like I said, we are less than 70 away from 10,000 subscribers. Legends, the whole lot of you. I really appreciate it. But like I said, I'll be back tomorrow night. Until then, have a great evening. Peace out.